Family Guy gets a bad rep. The show has had a string of controversies over its 26 years on air and has had a lot of bad jokes, man. Whether it be child predator jokes, blatant racism, anti-Semitism, homophobia, abuse, making fun of autism, making fun of Down syndrome. Did I mention racism already? Get the point. Family Guy has had a lot of messed up jokes, targeted towards a lot of groups, and they always have had a reputation of finding a way to get away with these offensive jokes no matter how much backlash they get. I've always had the question of how many of these jokes are actually offending people, and how many of these jokes are actually entertaining people. Don't get me wrong, a lot of these jokes are funny, but a lot of them just seem lazy. And so after doing a lot of research, it all led back to a little show called South Park. 2006, when the episode Cartoon Wars airs for the first time. And the episode starts with immediate chaos because Family Guy is about to air, and within this episode, they make a joke about the Muslim prophet Muhammad, which is offensive to Muslims. Stick with me here. In this scene, the characters complain about how Family Guy only cares about the shock value and offensive jokes they can get off to their edgy audience. But this right here would make South Park hypocrites, because South Park has just as much edgy humor and offensive jokes within the show, and there is literally an entire gag about them making fun of Jews.
Oh yeah, well you're a stupid Jew.
But this isn't the point of the episode or the criticism for Family Guy. I mean, even the writers in the show included a joke about them being hypocritical in the beginning of the episode. Okay, so now that not only we, but the writers know about the hypocrisy they have, what is the actual criticism for Family Guy's jokes? Well, in the next episode, it's revealed that the writers are all manatees, who pick random topics which put together some random joke used in a cutaway gag of Family Guy. And that's the main problem that the writers hate about Family Guy. It's that the jokes don't even relate to the actual plot of the story, and how a lot of the jokes used are lazy and interchangeable jokes with no substance to them. And a lot of showrunners in the industry agreed heavily. I mean, after the first episode aired, The Simpsons reportedly sent flowers to South Park Studios just because they called Family Guy out. They even had Bart Simpson make an appearance in the episode, in which he's trying to get Family Guy taken off the air due to his pure hate for the show. Even writers from King of the Hill said that they were, quote, doing God's work when they saw the first episode. And after this discovery, this led me to my next question of, are the jokes actually even funny? Well, according to the makers of South Park and a large majority of their peers in the entertainment industry, no, this show sucks. And there are a lot of people that would agree with them, whether it is because of the lazy writing or random gag jokes unrelated to the plot, and especially the jokes that are simply just ill in taste for a lot of people. But on the other side, there are millions of people like myself that like the show and do think it's funny, who don't mind laughing at a joke that may be ill in taste for a lot of people. So I guess what my question should be is, what is the psychology behind a good joke? Why is it that Bob might laugh at a 9/11 joke and Karen not think it's funny at all? Well, that's gonna require us to step out of the world of animation real quick and get into our academic bag. Now, one thing we all know is that humor is subjective, alright? Nobody knows for sure the exact reason people laugh at certain things while others don't. But there have been many studies we can look to that have helped form strong theories on the matter. And the one that interests me the most is the one studied by the philosopher John Morrell, who suggests that laughter may have its biological origins as a kind of shared expression of relief at the passing of danger. Basically saying that we laugh when something builds up tension, then relieves it. And to support this, when we look at neurologist Sigmund Freud, he suggests that laughter lets people release pent-up nervous energy. This explains why we laugh at poop jokes and jokes about sex. When we reach the punchline, we don't have to keep suppressing supposedly inappropriate emotions like desire or disgust. This energy is released as laughter. And to relate this theory back to Family Guy, just look at this clip of KSI watching a segment from the show. Now, the joke being that Quagmire, a grown man, is trying to have relations with a 16-year-old, well, that situation within itself is disgusting and will always be frowned upon. But look at KSI's face. He's smiling. Now, I don't think that it's something that he wants to smile at, nor does he find the situation to be funny at all. But the fact that this segment is so shocking and overall uncomfortable, according to this theory, he laughs to break the tension of such an appalling scene. But I wanted to conduct my own research, and I wanted to see if this theory actually held up. So I watched more reactions to offensive Family Guy moments just to see how right this theory was. And of course, every single person laughed. Not because it was some genius, hilarious joke, but because it was out of nervousness and shock. But I also must say that there are a lot of people who don't laugh at all when it comes to Family Guy's offensive jokes. Now, usually when someone is attempting a joke, even if it makes you a little uncomfortable, you might hand them a pity laugh. But 9 times out of 10, there are jokes where you won't laugh, especially when it comes at your expense. And this happens specifically with the lady by the name of Sarah Palin, where in season 8, Chris dates a girl named Ellen with Down syndrome. And in the episode, Ellen tells Chris that her mother is the former governor of Alaska. How could this possibly offend Sarah Palin in any way? Well, because in April of 2008, Palin gave birth to her 5th child, who was born with Down syndrome. And Sarah Palin's daughter was rightfully pissed off about the joke, saying, if the writers of a particularly pathetic cartoon show thought that they were being clever in mocking my brother and my family yesterday, they failed. All that they proved is that they are heartless jerks. And Sarah Palin followed it up, calling the showrunners cruel, cold-hearted people. And for whatever reason, Seth MacFarlane followed it up with a horrible response, saying Family Guy's humor is an equal opportunity offender, basically saying that the show depends on jokes that could be considered offensive to various groups of people. And even the voice of Joe, Patrick Warburton, wasn't a fan of the joke himself, showing that the joke doesn't even have to be directly regarded at you for you to be offended. There are some jokes where they could make fun of a political view or something you simply disagree with, and that could be enough to not make you laugh at all and even create a disdain for the joke or said person making the joke. And that's exactly what happened with their fan base and the public when Family Guy decided to joke about abusive relationships. The season 10 episode Screams of Silence centers around Quagmire's sister, Brenda, who is in an abusive relationship with her boyfriend Jeff. And throughout the episode, it's clear that Brenda has no real intentions of leaving this abusive relationship, which is unfortunately the reality for tons of people. And this episode will obviously cause tons of drama within the show's community, and it being seen as one of Family Guy's worst episodes. But my question here is, why was this the episode that broke the camel's back? Why is it that this episode specifically is seen as going too far and one of Family Guy's worst rated episodes? Well, some people might say that it's just a bunch of snowflakes that can't take a joke, but there's actually a science to this. See, Family Guy loves to use incongruity humor, where we laugh when there is a disconnect between what we expect and what actually happens. Or basically humor that is so bizarre, shocking, or unexpected that it's funny. So when you see them doing all these offensive and outlandish jokes, it's meant to shock you, and usually these happen randomly throughout the episode. But with this episode in particular, this was something that we kept seeing with constant, unnecessary, and uncomfortable scenes. And the jokes that were being made towards the plot often fell flat or were reused. And this combined with all around bad storytelling, it made for one of the show's most hated episodes. And the cherry on top is the fact that over 1 in 3 women and 1 in 4 men in the US have experienced some form of violence in their relationships. So I'm sure that this offended and hit home for a lot of people. So much so that it leads to the question of, when does a joke go too far? And no, this isn't me trying to cancel Family Guy. In fact, I love the show. Despite its clear flaws when it comes to writing, it can still have its bright spots. But with the rise of cancel culture, it's interesting how the show gets away with a lot of these jokes and hasn't been completely cut off the air, despite its edgy humor. And personally, I think they get away with so much because it's a cartoon, and some people are going to write it off as it's not that serious because of that factor. So in the case of Family Guy, not a lot of people will see it as going too far, since these jokes are technically fictional characters making these jokes. But this could definitely just be objective. I think for me, a joke can go too far once you're telling the jokes at another person's expense, which can be a little bit messed up depending on the situation. And honestly, overall, jokes that are purely meant to shock you and not even be funny are when I think things can get a little out of hand for some people. Which is why so many people sided with South Park originally and their hate for Family Guy's jokes, because Family Guy depends so much on that type of humor. But hey man, I could just be yapping. You guys let me know when you think jokes can go too far, even if it's in a cartoon or a comedian or whatever. But hey, aside from that, I appreciate the love and support recently, and as always, stay blessed.